Let's go back to the beginning, Justice. Started boxing about 6 years old, split your time between boxing and rugby league, and you made the decision to stick with boxing. I think you was given a bit of an ultimatum to pick one, and you chose boxing. Firstly, why?
Um, at that age, I didn't really know. I was just following my older brother. My older brother um had the same ultimatum and he chose boxing, so I kind of just followed in his footsteps and then yeah, just ended up falling in love with it and um it's taken me to where I am today.
Are you pleased now that he chose boxing?
Yeah, I guess so. Um I could have been whatever I chose to do, I would have done it with, 110%. And um, yeah, just fortunately, I chose boxing and, it's taken me around the world and I've got to see a lot of beautiful places and, I've been able to get a lot of exposure over the world.
Now, boxing has been in your family for a long, long time. I believe your dad has said once in an interview it's been around since the 40s in your family. The sport's been.
Yeah.
What are your earliest memories of boxing?
My earliest memories is just watching my brother, like I said, when I was younger and, uh, just following in his footsteps pretty much. And then, from there, it's just, I slowly just took over and just started chasing my own dreams and, following my own dreams that I set out for myself. And, I'm just grateful to, still be here, um, doing the sport I love and still have that 100% focus.
Do you think, or did you ever realize when you started training yourself at a young age that there was things that you already knew how to do because subconsciously you've been watching your brother do it, so you already knew how to throw a jab or how to
Yeah,
have the stance correct?
yeah, it's that, and also like just watching a lot of boxing as well. Like, my dad slash coach always used to like be watching Mike Tyson fights, all of those heavyweights from the 90s, always playing their fights, and I always just used to be there watching and. I guess it just came naturally, like he said, how to throw a jab and straight punches and stuff. So, um, yeah, I think as I progressed through the amateurs, I picked up the correct technique into throwing those punches um, from the legs and from the feet. So, yeah, it was just meant to be.
You mentioned that you're watching Mike Tyson growing up and things like that, and that era of heavyweights, your Holyfield, your Lennox Lewis's, etc. Who were your boxing idols when you were growing up? Was it Mike Tyson or was there anybody else that stood
Yeah,
out?
yeah, it was definitely Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield. Like they were they were the main fighters that my dad used to watch growing up. So I think it kind of molded me around those styles and yeah, that's just the way I turned out. Like I happened to, have that speed and stuff and being able to keep that speed as well, throughout all the years of doing this sport.
How important do you think that is as an asset to you as a heavyweight? A lot of people make of, say, for example, Tyson Fury. For a heavyweight, he moves great, he's quick. It's always
Mm.
he seems to be the biggest asset that's
Yeah.
connected. Do you think that's such an important asset for a heavyweight?
Yeah, definitely. Having that movement and speed, um, it's it's definitely a big thing to have in the heavyweight division. As a lot of heavyweights like to just stand there and bang. So if you have that movement, it it can take you a long way.
You mentioned your dad there, Rocky, called Rocky. He's got to be involved in boxing somehow, hasn't he? Really? Um,
Yeah,
Talk to me about that relationship. Obviously he's your father, but he's also your coach. Do you think that
yeah.
makes it easier for him to be a coach, or sometimes harder?
Um, no, it's we've got a good balance in our relationship. You know, when it comes to boxing, it's full boxing, and when we're away from it, it's just father and son. So it's just all about keeping that balance there. Because it is at times it is easy to get carried away, and then like everything becomes about boxing. So yeah, we've been able to keep that balance where we do have our father and son time as well.
How important is that to have that balance and that family time? What does family time in general, not just you and your father, but in general, mean to yourself?
Yeah, it means a lot. Like I said, you can get carried away and caught up in you know everything is all about um you know boxing, and to be able to just pull it back and relax and just have some family time. It's definitely good to not forget you know what your relationship is. So yeah, it's definitely very important to keep that balance there, and to have that family time as well.
Before we continue with the boxing career, I want to talk a little bit more about yourself and the person that you are. And you've got a lot of different sort of descents within yourself. You've got Togan, Swedish, Samoan, and Dutch descent. Now, these are all completely different cultures. Do you feel that you combine all the aspects of each culture within yourself?
Um, I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't really thought about that. Like, yeah, that one kind of caught me off guard. um, yeah, I don't know. I actually don't know what I think. Yeah, you caught me off guard with that question. Um,
Do
yeah,
you
sorry.
do you pride yourself on any of the cultures and anything that's been passed down from your families to yourself? Is there anything that you do specifically from one of those cultures?
No, not really. It's just yeah, no, not really, not at all. I think um, I just do whatever I've learned to do today. Um, yeah. So sorry for the blank answer, but yeah, that's I just do what I've been taught to do in today's age, and uh yeah, that's I pretty much just run with it.
Absolutely. Talk about your amateur career. For you, highs and lows, personally.
Yeah, my amateur career, I've had a fair bit of highs, but also I think my biggest low was missing out on the 2020 Olympic Games due to an injury, but I learned to overcome that, and it's made me mentally stronger also. Moving forward, and uh, whenever I have setbacks, especially in this program, it doesn't get to me as much as I just think about the time when I was right there to ready to go for the Olympic Games, and I had to withdraw due to an injury in preparation. So yeah, nothing can get worse than that, I believe, and that's just the way I look at things moving forward, and I try to stay as positive as I can.
You mentioned the injury they had to pull out of the Tokyo Olympics, and that was due to hand injuries from a professional
Yep,
bout. Um,
yep.
in terms of that, do you think that's a downside to turning professional and being able to still go back and compete in the Olympics?
No, not really. I think it's that's just the way, anything can happen, and that's just the way it happened to me. Like at that period of time there was not much happening for me, and um I wasn't getting much progression because I had been out of the ring for a very long time. So the only way for me to get fights and stuff, because it was very hard to get fights in the amateurs for me in Australia. So the only time I was really fighting was when I would travel for international tournaments. Um, and so we made the decision to turn professional so we could still have that, still progress and work on things inside the ring under the bright lights. And because as you know, Olympics is like the top of the table in the amateurs, so it's going to be um a big sit. Like when you get out there to perform, you're going to be under the bright lights and the pressure's going to be on. And we just thought, oh, the only way to get used to that is to get out there and continue fighting, and that was to turn pro. And I just happened to gain an injury in it wasn't even in one of the fights. I did it in a sparring session um to lead up to one of my fights. And yeah, it just that's just the way things happen. But I just learn to take it as it is what it is, and everything happens for a reason. And here I am today. I'm still going, and um I'm grateful to be in the position that I'm in today, and fighting on big cards.
Was it an easy decision to turn professional, knowing that you're still going to go back and aim for the Olympics?
Yeah, it was at the time because of um at the time it was all like COVID and the pandemic was going on. So that's why it was hard for me to get fights because we couldn't travel outside of Australia, and I was it was hard to get fights in Australia in the amateurs. So yeah, that's the reason why we had to make that decision. And that was easy for me because I wanted to keep progressing and I wanted to, continue getting out there and fighting under the bright lights. But yeah, sometimes that's just the way things happen. It is what it is, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be. So I just had to move forward and um stay positive. That was the main thing.
Injuries are part and parcel of sport in general, but especially
Yeah,
boxing. Obstacles in general, you have to overcome at times throughout the sport and through your career.
yeah,
And during camp as well, you had a very different obstacle to overcome one time during a fight camp a couple of years ago, and there was a drive-by shooting at your house. Uh,
yeah, yeah.
that, I mean, I read the story recently and it blew my mind. What did that do in terms of affecting you ahead of your fight? Because you're, I think, a week away from a fight.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like I think I had my last sparring session that morning. It happened early in the morning, and then I had my last sparring session that morning. So I don't know. Everything was just happening so quick. Like I kind of just looked past it and was so focused on my fight. Um, I didn't really think too much of it. So yeah, luckily I had that tunnel vision and I wasn't like distracted by it or anything, So yeah, I'm just happy that I kept that tunnel vision and I stayed focused on the job that I had at hand. And yeah, I'm just grateful and thankful that nobody was hurt, and I could still get my business done, and everything went smoothly.
I think that speaks volumes about your mental fortitude, to stick tunnel vision and your mentality to stay focused on this fight, even though
Yeah.
something as big as that happened within your home life. And like you say, thank God nobody was hurt, but it's still a major, major incident and it could have been a major distraction. Talk about your mentality and why you got such a strong mentality.
I think just over the years of doing this sport, it'll either make you or break you. And thankfully, I've come out on the other side, and I've learned discipline. I've learned, this sport has taught me so much, and it's helped, from doing it from a young age. And you see throughout the years, a lot of people they lose their focus and they get um taken off track, and they start to do other things. But yeah, I'm very thankful and grateful that I've been able to learn discipline, and when it's time to knuckle down and stay focused, I'm able to do that. I'm able to flick the switch and um focus on the job that I've got at hand. So yeah, I'm thankful that I was raised well, and um I've I've got a good support crew around me, and got the right people in my corner.
Do you think that can separate the champions from the rest?
Yeah, definitely. Um, like I said, a lot of people can get taken off track so easily. And it's up to it's at the end of the day, the reason why I chose boxing was because it's up to me in the end. Like everything comes down on you. You can only rely on yourself. Um, if you if you win or lose fights, it all comes back on you. Whether you've done the hard work, whether you've been cheating, everything will get found out when you hop into that ring. So I think yeah, that's what I like so much about this sport is that it's taught me that I can't rely on anyone else, like except for myself. So, um, yeah, when I'm in the gym and I'm doing all the hard work, I know it's all worth it, and it all will pay off.
You're moving very fast in the professional ranks, moving quickly. Your debut, you fought for the Australian title. Last two fights were two world title challenges. Um, and you're still, I think, heading into your 10th fight. So, still in single digits
Yeah,
for fight numbers.
yeah.
Um, Before I get on to your next fight, because I know it's fight week, firstly, without looking past your next opponent, how soon realistically do you want to be fighting for a world title?
Um, Man, I haven't even thought about fighting for a world title. I've just been thinking about staying as busy as I can and um being as active as I can in that ring because that's where I'm gonna progress the fastest. Having these long layoffs in between fights is, it's not really helping me progress as fast as I want to. So um all that I've been thinking about, is trying to stay as busy as I can. Hopefully, get this fight done and um, have two more after this for the remainder of this year, and then in 2025 stay just as busy. Hopefully get 3 or 4 fights in 2025. So that's pretty much just what's been on my mind, and I'm sure the more fights I have, the faster I'll progress, and the better boxer I'll become as well.
I mentioned it is fight week for yourself. The 25th, you face Troy Pilcher, undefeated fighter, 9 wins, 1 draw, no losses. And you're fighting back in Australia. We've not fought there for a couple of years. How does it feel to be fighting back home again?
Yeah, it feels good. It feels refreshing, and like I've been saying, it feels like I'm having my professional debut again because I'm fighting at the same venue I had my professional debut at, and I'm fighting in front of my people again, my home crowd, and I know it's gonna be loud and the atmosphere is gonna be awesome in there because it's a very um small venue. Like it feels like everyone's right on top of you, like when they're yelling out and stuff. So I really like it in there, and I can't wait to be fighting back in there in 5 days.
Obviously, you mentioned about traveling the world, and I'm sure it's nice to fight in different venues. You fought recently in Mexico, Saudi Arabia, but it's not the same, no place like home. Is it always, do you prefer it fighting back in Australia?
Um, I do, but I also don't mind fighting internationally as well. It's yeah, I don't know the cards that I fought on I fought on in Mexico under a world title bout, and then in Riyadh under the Anthony Joshua main event. So yeah, it was like I for me it was just like I remember watching when I was growing up, like big cards like that. And it was like a shock to me that I was actually a part of that card and I was fighting on that card. So it just shows myself that um, all the hard work is paying off. And this is where exactly where I was supposed to be. I'm just grateful to be given those opportunities to be put on those big cards like that. So yeah, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing, and I'm sure we'll get many more opportunities like that.
You say you were sort of shocked by the size of it and the magnitude to be involved on these cards that you watched, similar to what you was as a child when you're watching that. Get used to it because I'm sure you'll be back on those massive shows plenty of times in the future. You've got a big career ahead of you. But like I
Thank
mentioned,
you, bro.
next up is Troy Pilcher. He's a big puncher,
Yeah,
7 knockout wins in 9 victories. How
yeah.
dangerous does that make him, especially in this heavyweight division?
Yeah, look, it's the heavyweight division. It's I always go into every single fight with the same mindset, and that's to always be cautious, no matter who it is. You know, you can never overlook anyone in the heavyweight division. Um, so yeah, I'm just going in with this exact same mindset that I've gone into with every other fight. I've had a good preparation for this fight, and sparring's been well. The camp has been well, so all there is to do now is to go out there and do put together everything that I've been working on, and I'm sure everything will go to as planned.
Absolutely. And I look forward to seeing you out next week, but also again in the future. Justice, thank you very much for your time. It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
Cheers, bro. I really appreciate it. Thank you for your time as well.
Anytime, anytime.